I'm Heather Lockett, and this is Lasting Conversations. I'm here with some books today, just me and some books. I was thinking what would the topic be, and as the day has progressed, I felt it was time for something a little cozy and simple. And we're in this interesting holiday season where we're feeling kind of pushed and pulled and hurried, and the kiddos in our lives are also feeling that as well. So I have some books here that I've had since my own childhood and the childhood of my children. And I thought, let's just have some story time. And we are going to start with Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sendak. This is always a favorite, and just listen and enjoy. The night Max wore his wolf suit and made mischief of one kind and another. His mother called him Wild Thing, and Max said, "I'll eat you up." So he was sent to bed without eating anything. That very night in Max's room, a forest grew and grew and grew until his ceiling hung with vines and the walls became the world all around. And an ocean tumbled by with a private boat for Max, and he sailed off through night and day. And in and out of weeks, and almost over a year where the wild things are. And when he came to the place where the wild things are, they roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws. Till Max said, "Be still," and tamed him with the magic trick of staring into all their yellow eyes without blinking once, and they were frightened and called him the most wild thing of all, and made him king of all wild things. "And now," cried Max, "let the wild rumpus start." And the page has all the dancing and the yelling and the howling at the moon, and the climbing of the trees, and the dancing and the thrashing and the fun in the forest. "Now stop," Max said, and he sent the wild things off to bed without their supper. And Max, the king of all wild things, was lonely and wanted to be where someone loved him best of all. Then all around, from far away across the world, he smelt good things to eat, so he gave up being king of where the wild things are. But the wild things cried, "Oh, please don't go. We'll eat you up. We love you so." And Max said, "No." The wild things roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws, but Max stepped into his private boat and waved goodbye and sailed back over a year and in and out of weeks and through a day and into the night of his very own room where he found his supper waiting for him. And it was still hot. Next, we're going to read one of the little mini stories from Little Bear. And Little Bear by Elise Homeland Miniarek, excuse me if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. Also, Pictures by Maurice Sendak was one of my all-time favorites, to which I read to my children. And this one is Little Bear Goes to the Moon. "I have a new space helmet. I'm going to the moon," said Little Bear to Mother Bear. "How?" said Mother Bear. "I'm going to fly to the moon," said Little Bear. "Fly," said Mother Bear. "You can't fly." "Birds fly," said Little Bear. "Oh, yes," said Mother Bear. "Birds fly, but they don't fly to the moon, and you are not a bird." "Maybe some birds fly to the moon. I don't know. And maybe I can fly like a bird," said Little Bear. "And maybe," said Mother Bear, "you are a fat little bear cub with no wings and no feathers. Maybe if you jump up, you will come down very fast with a big plop." "Maybe," said Little Bear, "but I'm going now. Just look for me up in the sky." "Be back for lunch," said Mother. Little Bear thought, I will jump from a good high spot far up into the sky and fly up, up, up. I'll be going too fast to look at things, so I will shut my eyes." Little Bear climbed to the top of a little tree and climbed to the top of a little tree and a very little tree on a little hill and shut his eyes and jumped. Down he came with a big plop, and down the hill he tumbled. He sat up and looked around. My, he said. Here I am on the moon. The moon looks just like Earth. Well, said Little Bear. The trees here look just like our trees. The birds look just like our birds. And look at this, he said. Here is a house that looks just like my house. I'll go in and see what kind of bears live here. Look at that, said Little Bear. Something to eat is on the table. It looks like a good lunch for a little bear. Mother Bear came in and said, But who is this? Are you a bear from Earth? Oh, yes, I am, said Little Bear. I climbed a little hill and jumped from a little tree and flew here just like the birds. Well, said Mother Bear, my little bear did the same thing. He put on his space helmet and flew to Earth. So I guess you can have his lunch. Little Bear put his arms around Mother Bear. He said, Mother Bear, stop fooling. You are my Mother Bear, and I'm your little bear, and we are on Earth, and you know it. Now, may I eat my lunch? Yes, said Mother Bear, and then you will have your nap, for you are my little bear, and I know it. My favorite of all, this next one, is called I'm a Bunny. And I've had this very particular book since, who knows, it's before my own memory. And it's one of the Golden Happy books they're publishing. And my recollection of this story was I must have been about 2 years old or so. And my dad, my first dad, I got to have two dads. I had my first dad and then my second dad. So my first dad, David, I remember curled up in bed and hearing this story. And then this very book, I didn't realize that he kept for all of my life and into the rest of his life. And when he passed on, his sister sent me a box of some of his things, and this book was in with his items. So here's I Am a Bunny by Ol Rysam. I'm a bunny. My name is Nicholas. I live in a hollow tree. In the spring, I like to pick flowers. I lie in the grass and watch the insects buzzing by. I chase the butterflies and the butterflies chase me. In the summer, I like to lie in the sun and watch the birds. And I like to watch the frogs in the pond. When it rains, I keep dry under a toadstool. I blow the dandelion seeds into the air. In the fall, I like to watch the leaves falling from the trees. I watch the animals getting ready for the winter. And when the winter comes, I watch the snow falling from the sky. Then I curl up in my hollow tree and dream about spring. Thank you for story time. Consider finding some books, some real books. Go to your local library, yard sale, wherever it might be, and find a book to read. Read to your children, read to the neighbors, and just read to yourself. It's really fun. Thank you for listening. Please be sure to like, follow, review, and share this podcast. And if you'd like to be part of the conversation, send emails to podcasts@lastingconversations.com and follow us on Facebook. This is Lasting Conversations. We get to the heart of everything.